Another question that we get quite a bit is how on earth do you raise money? How do you raise money for your dream center? How do you raise money to pay the bills and staff and all the different things that kind of come at you? And as you might imagine, our answer to that, our first year, is much different than it is here now in year 12. And so I want to just share a little bit about you. This warrants honestly hours and hours and hours of conversation, and we've put together some materials on our little jump drive to help you with this. So, in general, let me just break out how our finances are currently structured at the Phoenix Dream Center. So, of the let me talk about cash and in kind. And so to do everything that we do, we rely heavily on cash to pay the bills, and we rely heavily on in kind, and that's donated services, donated food and support and different things like that. So our total budget to do everything, if you just went out with a checkbook or credit card and needed to wanted to do everything that we do, you're looking at almost $5 million is what it would cost to to do the outputs that we have. We talked about that. To do the outputs that we have to serve the amount of people we have, the amount of food we serve them, and clothing and counseling and medical services, and on and on and on. You're talking $4.5 million. So of that $4.5 million, a little over $2 million of that is cash. We cannot get away from it. $2.3 million for things like the electric bill, the insurance that we have, the salaries for the staff, the medical for them, the gas for the vehicles. Never quite got a grant from Quick Trip yet to pay for all of our gas, but it's inordinate when you got a fleet the size of ours. And so there's hard cash costs. Then beyond that, there are our donated services costs that we offset with, and that's another $2.5 million. Our Costco next door to us donates 2 pallets of unexpired food every day to us. Imagine that, 2 pallets of food loading up your pickup at Costco every day for 365 days a year. Like, it's amazing what the community will do for you and your dream center. And so we're about half cash costs, hard cash costs, and about half in-kind costs. And so obviously we didn't start out with that budget. In fact, honestly, we started out with sort of the opposite. We were all it was all cash to pay for everything. We had a little bit of stuff donated, but it was quite expensive at first. Now, I do know dream centers who've started the inverse of that. They've started with purely donations, all donations going into a garage. I'm thinking of the Antelope Valley Dream Center. Everything started as donations, including the staff in a garage, and outreach started literally on that block, and then they grew it. Amazing couple out in California. They grew it to where eventually they had some finances coming in, to where eventually they had salaries, to where eventually they rented a storefront, to where now they're a mega outreach center serving that entire community. So it starts a lot of different ways. I know for us, it started with a church who was heavily subsidizing, heavily funding the ministry and the outreach. But my challenge coming on early on, especially from the church's perspective, was, hey, we don't intend to carry this on forever. Like, we need the community to donate to this thing, finances and different things. So the question is, though, fundraising and cash, presumably. And so we'll talk about donations in another post. So for us, that little over $2 million, $2.3 million of cash that we need every year that comes in, and of course it grows, a couple $100,000 every year, it seems to be growing. And so that $2.3 million comes to us in the form of watch the breakout here. So 60% of that, the largest chunk of that, we trace back to individual donors. These are people who have families who are giving to us, people in our church, people outside of our church, people in other churches, people who find us on Facebook and find us on Twitter and find us on the website. 60% of that $2.3 million is individuals. Now, here in Arizona, we have a thing called an income tax credit, a state income tax credit, where people literally get a dollar for dollar tax credit plus a deduction federally, and so it's been very good for people to give to that. And so 60% of our income comes from individuals giving of their resources. 25% of that $2.3 million comes to us from churches, from faith organizations, and we have Christian foundations wrapped up in that sort of segment as well. And so 25% of that $2.3 million is coming to us from churches. So it's not only our church who is the largest donor to that, but other churches who are donating almost as much, and some churches who are giving small amounts. Some churches are giving $100 a month. Some churches are giving thousands of dollars a month. It's immensely humbling to think that churches all over the valley here, nearly 180 churches in our total network, but it's humbling to think that they think so much of our mission that they send their volunteers. They get up every week and talk about the Dream Center and show our videos and support our mission. Like, it's one thing to say you love the Dream Center, but I mean, it's a whole different thing when you have people who put their money where their mouth is. So it's humbling to think that 25% of our revenue comes from churches, and then the final 15% of the cash that comes into the Dream Center comes from the area of grants, what we call program fees, and private foundation grants is wrapped up in there as well. So 60% of our funding is individuals, 25% is churches, and 15% is from grants and program fees and things like that. And so I'm going to go through each of those areas and just share with you our inner secrets with how we find those groups, how we raise that money in each of those. So if we start with the big one, individual contributors, this is something that always starts small. It started very small for us. Our church started with a large offering where the monies came into the church, and then came to the Dream Center and helped with that. But then over the years, we've just had some, we weren't taking offerings every week for the Dream Center anymore, and so what happened was individuals just wanted to sponsor and support the Dream Center. And so for individuals, there's a couple different ways that we market to them, if you will, and I hate to use that word, but so our marketing fundraising strategy for individuals is kind of like this. So online is certainly one of the leading portals of new people joining and supporting the Dream Center. If you go to our website, just check out how we raise money, what the buttons look like. There are sponsorship packages. We have entry-level areas for people to sponsor from as low as $5 to $19 a month, to all the way up to like $700 a month, or some of the higher sponsorship packages. But a lot of different ways where people can initially give to the Dream Center through the website. How do you get them to your website? So that's where tapping into some of these other avenues. Social media is a huge one for us. So Twitter, Instagram, Facebook seem to be the bigger ones for us. And so we run a Facebook page and post scriptures and create stories about what's going on. But we also post opportunities for people to click out of Facebook, go to our website, sign up for updates, sign up and make donations and do different things. Now, what we found is that for a stranger or someone who just kind of knows you or likes, maybe they like your cause, they like what you do, but to move a person from that status to where they're just somewhat interested to where they're pulling out their credit card. Think about this. Imagine the moment they're having in their office or at home or in their car, on the phone, wherever they are, but they're having a moment where they see something that you've put out there, whether it's an appeal or a post or a web page, and they make a conscious decision. I'm going to put stuff that I worked for, my money, and I'm going to give it to this person for free. Like nowhere else in capitalism in our society does that happen, right? Like everywhere else it's like, can I get the best deal for this, and how do I get a better deal, 30% savings here and free shipping on Amazon. Like that's what everything is geared up for, except nonprofits and churches. Like it's an anomaly that this even happens. So to get people to that point, takes some strategy and takes some, of course, prayer and some work and some different things. So what we found is we use some strategies called funnels, and you can Google fundraising funnels and different things like that. One of them that's out there that's pretty good that we still implement in different parts of the ministry is called the Benavon model. And the Benavon model, you can look it up. It's a free training tool. You can pay for, of course, advanced options like everything else, but it's a free tool that you can use that helps kind of gear you up. Especially it's useful as a newer nonprofit, kind of gears up your email lists and your tours and the way that you bring people in, and then how do you help them take the next step to give your contact info, and the next step to let them send something. So there are these funnels that happen. And so for us, some of our funnels are happen on Facebook, where we, of course, again, get people to come to our website and sign up for something, sign up for updates, sign up to be a volunteer. One of the things that's worked very well for us the last couple of years is content creation. And so it's like content marketing. You can Google that. So we'll put out a guide that is a free human trafficking safety guide for families, and we'll just promote that out there free on Facebook. But to get it, you have to give us your email address and your name, and then you can download it from our website. And so what happens then is that we've got their email address, and through these funnels, now we use some software that I'll talk about in another post to automate this. But essentially, imagine someone's on Facebook, they see this promotion about human trafficking safety guide, and they think, well, I want to know what the tips are, and there's 42 different tips, and it's about my daughter. Oh my gosh, of course I'm gonna get it. It's free. Yeah, here's my email. So they give us our email, they go and they download it, and they get an amazing guide free. So there's no tricks or anything involved like that. But the next step is we send them automatically a thank you for subscribing to our human trafficking list, where we're gonna give you tips about safety and things, and they've downloaded the free guide. And so then 7 days later, we automate another email to them that just says, hey, here's some more resources about trafficking that we thought you might find helpful. By the way, how do you like the guide that we have sent you, that you downloaded? And then 10 days into the funnel, we're starting to ask them to share that guide with other people. If they liked it, post it on Facebook, share some different things. And then day 14 to 20, it's different for different funnels that we have running. But somewhere in there, we're starting to kind of drop the notion that, hey, you're a parent and you're doing the right thing. You're finding out safety tips for your kids, and that's great. But here's a little bit more about us. What the Dream Center does is we help girls who unfortunately have fallen victim to this. They've fallen prey to this, and we've got 48 young women and 12 babies on this site, and we've got 36 girls, 11 to 17 on this other site. And they could use your support. Pray for them and donate to them clothing and items and things like that. And so the funnel increases. So just like it says, a funnel. So you start out kind of general up here, and then you draw people down to a moment to where you're like, okay, we if you want to do something about this, you want to partner. You've been opening up all the emails, and the software automates all this for you. So if they're interested throughout the funnel, at the end you're like, okay, you care about trafficking. You've shown us that you open the emails, you read them, you care. Let's care together, right? Like, let's care together. Let's join in this fight. And then at that moment, if they donate, then they go into another funnel that encourages our donors and helps with that. If they don't donate at that point, then they go into our general mailing list. I should say that people have the option to unsubscribe anytime. It's down at the bottom, and you would think, as I'm sharing this with you, that boy, we're sending people a lot of emails. But honestly, what we found is very, very high open rates, like 40-50% on many of our funnels, and some of them even higher for the first couple of emails, and very, very low unsubscribe rates. Like some of our lists, hundreds and hundreds of people have signed up and 1 or 2 people have unsubscribed. And so what we're finding is that if people sign up in the beginning for something that's meaningful to them, and you, I think this is the key, you give them something of value, right? You give them something that they value, a safety guide for their family. Then they are kind of a part of what you're doing. They are believing in what you're doing. And then when it comes time for you to then ask for something, it's a much easier conversation, and you lose far fewer people. So email marketing and funnels, that's how we've been able to not just say a bunch of nice stuff on Facebook, but we've been able to actually get people to take action and to do something on our website. So that's how we kind of get people from Facebook onto our website. I'm going to share a little bit more about what we do in that 60% to get individual donations in the next video. So I hope you check back with us. Have a good one. Bye-bye.